Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to part 38 of my Hyperion progression series. In today's video, I wanted to go through some of the things that I've worked on this account. We are getting towards the end game of my goal, which is to solo Black Mage, so there's not too many things that I can really show on my Battle Mage, but I am working on a lot of other side characters because I think getting a lot of side characters and bossing mules is really important right now for me to kind of just break things up and also get me some good income. I do apologize for my voice, it sounds a little bit off because I just came back from a really long weekend, so hopefully you guys are okay with me sounding a little bit strange right now. But as I was saying, I wanted to talk a little bit about my bossing mules and I wanted to showcase my Lynn. Now my Lynn is a character that I didn't really expect to make into a bossing mule, but as you can see I have full CRA gear. And the CRA gear that I'm currently using are these temporary ones that have been given to us from the Burning that they gave us in this event. And I coin capped a few times just to get the treasure set and the onyx set. Thankfully for Lynn, you can actually get the secondary. And this is actually something that a lot of people have asked about, how am I playing my Lynn without the 6 set bonus. Because you only get the onyx set if you use the onyx set, which I do have in my inventory. But I don't have the full treasure set because I don't believe Lynn has the weapon. For me though, because I was lucky enough to have these temporary Fafnir gear, I decided to wear the full set instead of wearing the full onyx set. This is mostly because the onyx set, as good as it is, I don't think that it actually beats out early on the 4 set bonus of this 30% boss damage. If I had less than 8000 Legion, I think it is pretty fair for me to still wear the hat because 30 ID might be better than 30 boss damage. But given my account's progress, I think this makes more sense. And I've been rocking this loadout and it's been pretty good. I've been clearing out a lot of weekly bosses. I did some of these on stream as well. We managed to clear through all the easy bosses and we also cleared through 4-door CRA. I'll go through my thought process on how I felt Lynn is as a bossing character and how I felt in the bosses in 4-door CRA itself in a second. But I just wanted to showcase what this character's gear is first. A lot of it is epic potential. I got pretty lucky with the cubes that I got from bossing on my main, so I just slowly tiered up all the rare items into epic and rolled for 6% stat. Even on the temporary gear, actually I think on the temporary gear I just rolled for first line of int, so the first time I saw 3% or 6 I just stopped. It just happened to be that the hat and the top got 6%. But everything else I was just slowly tearing up to epic, and yeah, it's got a lot of stat going for it. It has currently just under 6000 stat if I had Maple Warrior on. With Maple Warrior I'm at pretty much 6000 stat. And this is without my links in Legion. The character is actually reasonably strong thanks to the temporary Fafnir gear. Sitting at 800k combat power, and I'm not wearing any links and I don't have my Legion spec'd into my bossing Legion. For the most part, I didn't really know what to expect from the class because it's a new class. I didn't do any research on it. I only just liked the idea of turning a 210 character into a bossing mule, and the fact that this had temporary CRA gear made it all the better. In terms of my nodes, it wasn't this strong when I originally started the bossing. This is a little bit after I did some more recording on some other things. I think I put in a total of 80 nodes all up on this character, and at the time that I did do the bosses, I think I popped maybe 30 node stones. I think overall the class has definitely surpassed my expectations. Let's start by just showing my clears through CRA and then my thoughts through this class. The biggest thing about this character was the fact that it is a pure DPS character. When I was learning about this class from my chat, a lot of people told me, yeah, this class doesn't really have like a defined burst. It does have periods where its DPS is higher, but it's really hard to classify it as an actual burst, which makes Lynn a really good candidate to be a bossing mule. DPM classes typically are stronger for bossing mules because you don't need to wait for your burst, you don't have a reliance on bind, and once your character is actually strong enough to clear the bosses quickly, you don't need to wait in between bosses. Ironically, the first boss that I was encouraged to do by my chat was Chaos Clown. And Chaos Clown is the opposite boss. It's one of the few bosses where you actually do want to have burst, especially during the end of the fight, when he's about to split. This is the reason why I initially added in the 30 node stones, because I wanted to be able to get Nova. This will allow me to lock down the boss so then I can get my damage out correctly. And for Clown, he does disappear and move around, so having bind just kind of keeps him still enough for me to try to make the most out of the double damage burst that I'm going to do just before he splits. And because Lynn is actually a DPS class, it made Clown a little bit scary. I didn't know how much damage that I could output, and whether or not I was able to clear through Clown in the first place. Thankfully, because of the fake CRA and the little bit of nodes that I put in, I did manage to get the Clown down to a pretty low percentage before he split, And what I did was, because I was full in lives, I just kept dying and respawning, and then using that time where I don't have a hat to just constantly hit both of them at the same time. And because the nice thing about this class is its DPS class, I could actually just chip down both of the clowns pretty consistently. I didn't need to worry about managing their HP at all. And once it came down to the end of the fight, I was able to just kill them both at the same time. So don't be too discouraged if you aren't able to one burst clown. If the clown still is on like maybe 10 to 5%, you are able to use a lot of your lives to just clear through and DPS through both of them. Just be careful that when the red clown does disappear, you don't do too much damage to the blue one, because you want to kill them both at the same time. As for the next 3 door CRA bosses, for C Queen and C Von Bon, both of those were pretty straightforward because both those bosses are pretty friendly towards DPS characters, and the only real thing that I needed to keep in mind was actually to buy auto HP. I think that those bosses are significantly easier if you don't have to worry about your HP ticking down, whether it be in the Shadow Realm of Von Bon or just the constant fire tick damage from Queen. So highly recommend that you guys go for at least HP healing on a pet if you have one, and if not, just be willing to just spend a lot of time just healing. But the next thing that I wanted to lead on to why I think Lynn is actually a pretty insane class is because of this skill here, Purify. It didn't really come up in Von Bon, but in Chaos Queen, having access to a constant dispel was really strong. She has 2 phases where this actually comes up. One of them is when she's in the crying phase. She does a debuff every once in a while that causes you to take damage if you were to heal instead, and most classes would have to iframe or use the 5th job skill Hero's Will to be able to survive. But Lynn can just press Purify and not worry about it, basically nullifying that entire phase. The other time that this comes into use is when she's in the heart phase. She has this mechanic when she summons a mirror, and if you're not strong enough to actually kill the mirror, you die to it as a one-shot after being seduced into it, and then you heal C Queen for a big amount. And this actually happened, I think, in my Marksman clear for the first time, where I healed her for a good amount of her HP and making me spend an extra 5 or so minutes in the fight. Purify actually cleanses that debuff as well, so if you don't find the mirror fast enough or you don't see it and kill it fast enough, you are still able to survive because Purify will get rid of the seduce. Just to solidify the point of why Purify is so broken as well, this skill is so strong for your own survivability. For Chaos Vellum, you can press it and just basically ignore the rocks that can stun you. You might be stunned for a short amount of time because Purify does go in cycles. It does take a little time for it to cleanse you actually, but being able to more or less ignore it because of its short cooldown and high duration, you can just walk around and not worry about the rocks for the most part. In Hard Magnus as well, on the sides of the stage, if you drag him too far and you go into the smoke or the yellow gas, you are able to just press Purify when you see the smoke come up and you won't get stunned. You would just resist it. It also gets rid of his slow and it gets rid of his zombify that causes you to heal half. It just gets rid of everything in Magnus. And then the biggest one for sure for most players would have to be for Pink Bean, where you can just constantly spam it and ignore all of Pink Bean sealing you, locking you, potion lock, darkness, whatever the debuff he puts on you, you will just clear it off. It basically makes you immune to all these random annoyances in so many different fights, and I think that makes Lynn so broken. And the fact that you can even use this in a party setting and give it to your allies as well, completely busted. If you guys get nothing else from this video, I just want you guys to realize that Lynn's Purify is probably one of the best things that I've ever accidentally stumbled upon, and this is why you guys should also make good friends with a bishop, because they can do exactly the same thing. And those are my general thoughts when it comes to bossing on a Lynn. I do want to finish off by saying some more positive things about this class and then what I think might be sort of negatives of the class. One of the best things about this class is how simple its boost nodes are. It's one of the few classes that actually only have 6 skills that can be boosted, and you can check that easily in this boost node filter. It just means that you just have 2 trios that boost all 6 of the skills. And yeah, it makes finding your trios super easy. And even when you don't find your trios, it's kind of fine because your main 3 skills that do the most damage are pretty relevant across basically everything, and the other boost node is not that big of a deal. It makes training and bossing a lot more simple, and the damage output is pretty fine. It's also really nice to have a lot of support capabilities. Like I mentioned, Purify is really strong. There's also this Predator's Blow, which makes the boss take an extra 10% damage. This 3rd job skill gives you and your allies 30% ID, which is really strong. And honestly, it makes this class one of the few that, even though you have access to the Onyx set, the Onyx set is not a make or break, and if you wear the CRA set, the ID that you get from your 3rd job skill kind of compensates for it anyway. And yeah, just overall this class has been very impressive to me. And I guess the main issue that I have with this class is the fact that it is purely DPS, which makes for a really awkward burst sometimes, or no burst in this case, especially for the clown boss. I found that to be a little bit annoying that I couldn't burst it correctly, and given how much damage I was doing with these items, I think most other classes are actually able to 1-burst clown pretty comfortably, but me not being able to clear clown in 1 burst is a little bit of a downside, and I can see this being a problem for later bosses if you decide to main it or decide to play it further. But generally speaking, in most boss settings, you're probably just going to be continuously DPSing anyway, so for my purposes, I think this is a perfectly fine class, but just keep in mind it does have some issues with burst. So let's just have a quick look at which of the bosses I actually managed to clear. I believe I did most of the easy ones, and yeah, I didn't do Papillardus or Lotus and Damien, and not Akechi either, but for all the other bosses I cleared pretty comfortably, I believe, which adds up to probably like 700 to 600 mil per week. Pretty good income for how easy it was to set up. I think the steepest cost personally was just giving it the 50 nodes. And yeah, I think it was a pretty reasonable investment, mostly because I needed this Nova. And the fact that this class has a very straightforward boost nodes makes for very good return on investment for nodes. Some classes that have issues with tri-nodes might not get the same amount of benefits like Lynn does. So yeah, just definitely keep in mind this class has a lot going for it, and definitely recommend you guys trying this class. You will probably want to get it to 210 anyway, just for its link skill, and level 210 classes are just a nice starting point. And I guess just to talk about which class I would like to work on next, I've decided to try to do some things on my Pathfinder. It's another class that I don't really know too much about, but I have seen it being played and I do like the gameplay, and I kind of enjoy training it to level 200 as well. This is going to be my next bossing mule that I'll be working on after my Lynn. It is still pretty clean, it doesn't really have anything going for it, a lot of it isn't even Starforced, and it is a class that doesn't actually make complete use out of the 6/6 set because it doesn't have a secondary or a weapon. So I think this will be an interesting class to try to make something work out of it, whilst not being really able to capitalize on the current event. So if you guys are interested in me making a bossing mule that can't really make use of the 6/6 set and I'm just kind of winging it on the go, stay tuned, and I guess we'll see how this Pathfinder goes, because yeah, I'm very interested to see how this will run. I'm really happy at how a lot of them have turned out. So far we have our Mechanic, which is a pretty solid bossing mule. I've been doing this a lot on stream lately, and yeah, she's just been clearing content very comfortably. I believe I managed to do both normal Lotus and Damon within about 20 minutes, so the pacing for my weekly bosses on my Mechanic is pretty fast. And I know I wanted to make this like a farming character, I just really haven't gotten around to training her. She's currently sitting at 232. Once she hits maybe 235, might start doing some things, but my main goal right now is definitely to still hit 275 on my main. The Mechanic will be on the back burner for a little bit. Yeah, she's been doing pretty good in terms of making me some income through bossing. The other bossing mule that I showcased on a previous video is my Marksman. My Marksman actually managed to clear Seavel the last week. So a little bit later in this video, I'll be going through CRA again on my Marksman so I can get the Fafnir weapon, which will be a pretty big increase in this character. And also kind of praying that we get a lucky hat. I think a lucky hat would be a lot of fun, so we can use the really cool 6-set bonus with the CRA. I'm really hoping we get something, and yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Overall though, I'm very happy that the Marksman is set up to do some bosses as well to get some income. Just adds up a little bit more, and also adds a little bit of flavor into my week, so then I'm not just sitting around training as I am at the moment. Now, in terms of my income, I am currently sitting at 13 bill, which is a pretty nice recovery from how much I spent trying to get my star forcing up on the previous part. If you guys don't remember, I did get a 21 superior pendant, and within my drops this week, I got a lot of fun things on stream. You guys can see here, I managed to get another arcane armor box sitting here. I opened my previous armor box to get this arcane glove as a spare, so once this arcane box is about to expire, I'm most likely going to get one of the other three. There's no preference between any of them, we'll just kind of cycle through each of the spares. We managed to get back a Daybreak pendant, which is awesome because we spent one of them to fodder into the superior. It's kind of nice just having more of these pendants around. We did get a Rune Force shield, which is so cool. I can't use it actually, but I can anvil it if I wish onto my shield, so it's just a really nice flex item, and I think the item looks so cool. And yeah, don't be too surprised, guys, if I decide to anvil it over my current shield, because yeah, Ruin Force Shield is just a very pretty item. From Lucid and Will, we managed to get 1 Twilight Mark, and I managed to get my first Ring of Restraint. It was a Ring of Restraint 1, unfortunately. If this had been a Ring of Restraint 3 or 4, it would have made my potential Black Mage run so much faster and so much cleaner, because I think at the moment a Raw 3 or 4 would beat out my Weapon Jump 3. And even then, I'd be able to ring swap within the fight, so then I could use the Ring of Restraint, or whichever one is better, on my main burst, and then use the other one on my mini burst. And yeah, just getting more out of these rings is really strong. Just really hoping that we get some better drops soon. As for my own personal progress, one of the nicest things that I'm looking forward to is actually my Hexa Matrix. This skill here, my Altars of Annihilation, I am hoping to get to 150 frags quite soon. It'll probably take me within a week to be able to get that to level 10, and I believe this is my next major boost. I'm going to be getting a lot of extra damage because this is a really big time sink to get 150 fragments, and all my other boosts are pretty cheap. I don't remember which order I need to do them in, but yeah, just 150 is just pretty steep, and that's how it is when we go from level 9 to level 10 on the Hexa Matrix. Looking forward to this gigantic boost because I'm going to be training a lot more just to try to get that last level, and yeah, once we get this altar leveled up, I think our origin skill is next, and the bigger the origin, the easier time we're going to have in P1 for sure, in Black Mage. Just to finish off this video, I'll go through Chaos Root Abyss on my Marksman. We're basically hoping for 2 things. One is, of course, trying to get enough pieces of destruction for our CRA weapon, because currently I am just using this treasure item, but I think the Fafnir weapon will be a pretty significant upgrade, and the weapon itself I would probably potential to epic, which gives us quite a lot of extra damage over this current treasure item. And also, of course, hoping for a lucky hat. We haven't hit a lucky hat just yet, but it would be pretty nice to get that and keep a 6 set bonus and also the 4 set bonus for CRA. I'm going to go ahead and run into CRA and see if we can get anything. Holy crap, guys, we actually got the Chaos Queen Tiara. We actually got our lucky hat for the set. Oh, it was only 2 weeks as well. Oh, that is so lucky. We've seen a few hats here and there, but we actually managed to get the lucky hat. I can't believe it. That was so fast. I don't actually know what to say. I went backwards from the bosses. I started off with Seavel, and we did actually manage to get all the pieces that we needed, and I popped a Legion Luck and everything to get enough pieces for the weapon. And I went through the other 2 and I didn't get anything, and I saw the hat fly out of Sea Queen at the end. I was just praying that it was a Chaos one, and yeah, we actually managed to get the lucky hat. Okay, now our Marksman is going to get such a huge boost. What a great way to end this video. So the first thing I'm going to do is claim my CRA weapon. There we go, we have our Fafnir crossbow. Just the weapon attack by itself is so strong compared to the Maple Treasure set. We have, I think, a spare Epic Pot Scroll in here that we can use on the weapon as well. And with that, that's our Fafnir set completed, and I don't have money. Just with 4 door, we managed to make 350 mil, and we have so many other weekly bosses that we can do, and these are gonna go so much faster thanks to this weapon upgrade. There we go, epic pot, and we will just quickly re-roll this for 6% attack. Wow, there we go. It took way longer than I would have liked, but we eventually got there at 6% attack. I think I used like over 100 or so cubes. I spent like 50 mil in just rerolls. Kind of crazy, but hey, we got there in the end. And the flame is pretty reasonable, 36 stat and 6% boss damage. I'm not so sure if I want to reroll that, so I'll just keep that for the time being. And we also have this lucky hat from Chaos Queen as well, and this will tie together the entire set. This by itself is what makes this 6 set so cool. I'm going to give it the 3rd line because we will want to get this to epic eventually, and I do have some spare cubes from my other weekly bosses. Let's see if we can make it tier up. And yes, we did manage to get the tier up to epic on this item as well. And now hopefully this one doesn't take too long to get 6% stat. And there we go, we got 6% stat on the hat. And it does look like it's worse at the moment, but trust me guys, this will all come together very soon. Next step is I'm actually going to flame our Fafnir weapon. I have some leftover flames from my weekly bosses as usual. And I'm hoping for something that has attack power, and see what we can get. And we managed to get on our first flame 40 attack and 56 stat. And I think this is a pretty reasonable settle. It's like tier 5 attack flame and a little bit of dex, which is really nice. And with our hat, it won't get much better than this because it doesn't get flame advantage. I think the 2% all stat, it's probably fine. And the final upgrade that we need to do before we put everything on is let's star force this up to 10. There we go, star forced up both of these items. Now let's just have a look at what these gains are going to be on our character. I'm really excited for this too because this is the first time I'm going to see this actually in action. First off, we are at just under 700k combat power. We're sitting on 6.3k stat with Maple Warrior. We have 131 boss damage and 93 IED. Now the reason why this all ties everything together, we are going to get to keep our 6 set Onyx bonus, but because we are going to swap out the weapon for the Fafnir weapon, we're going to lose this 6 set bonus from the treasure set. But because of the lucky hat, it's going to let us use 6 set Onyx, 6 set treasure, and 4 set CRA all at the same time. So let's see what it does to our combat power. So this hat shouldn't change very much because we maintain all of the sets. We gain a little bit of combat power, but everything else is basically the same. My stat barely changed as well. And once we equip this, this is where we're going to see the huge gain. It almost doubled our combat power. That is ridiculous. We gained so much boss damage. Let's have a look again. 131 to 191. We gained 60% boss damage from that. Our IED doesn't change too much, but because I think the weapon itself has 10% IED, gains a little bit here, but overall, look at that damage. That is crazy. We gained so much combat power from that. This character is so strong now. And all we did was get our lucky hat and get our normal CRA things. It's just normal stuff for our account, but the lucky hat ties everything together. Look at that on the right side. That looks so crazy to me. We had 3 set bonuses with 1 lucky hat. And my character looks so silly, but this is amazing. We have a lucky hat that does something. This is the first time I've ever got to use a lucky hat. I'm so happy this is... Oh my god, 1.2 mil combat power. That is insane. I can't believe it. Like, the Fafnir weapon was going to be a huge game, but this lucky hat really pushed it over the edge for me. That is... I can't believe it. There's only one thing that I have to do left on this character, which is so silly, and that is I need to get this 5-set boss. I'm missing one item. This cup. I just need to get a cup. This character's loadout is done. So I'm going to go do Pink Bean and Chaos Pink Bean and pray for a cup. And there we go, we managed to get a cup as well from Chaos Pink Bean. It's the first cup on this character because I don't even actually have my charm unlocked. And to do that, I have to go get a trait boost potion, which I think I got one from this event. Let me check in my storage in a second. Here we go, we have a trait boost potion that we can use so we can save our coins a little bit, and this should put my charm up to level 30. We have to just do a quick quest to unlock the pocket slot itself, which is this Star of the Maple World thing. I just need to pop by Hennessy real quick and talk to Lana here to unlock the pocket slot. Now we can equip our Pink Bean Cup, which we haven't looked at yet. It has 28 flame, so we can use our rebirth flames to try to get something a little bit better. And there we go, this is perfect. It's 36 and 5 all stat, more than enough for a cup. There we go, we got our 5 set as well for 10 stat and 5 attack, completing the loadout for this character. It's a bit of a shame that we don't have a 4th ring to put on this character, but I think that's okay. Like this character, for what it's doing, this is perfectly fine. And the only small minor thing that I would like to do on this character now is just to potentially flame the weapon a little bit more, but I'm trying not to be too greedy because it is just a Fafnir weapon, but we're happy with that. And it looks like all of our items here, with the exception of this Onyx ring, are epic. We'll leave this at rare for the time being, but wow, what a gain for this character. We started off at under 700k combat power, and we ended up at almost double that, at almost 1.3 million combat power. What an increase for this character, and I did that Chaos Pink Bean boss so much faster than I remember. Last time it was miserable, and that time it took under 5 minutes, so very, very happy with the gains that we have made here on this character today. And what a perfect way to end this video. Thank you guys for watching and joining me on this journey so far. We have made so much progress today, way more than I actually expected. We got to showcase a Lynn and how powerful that class is, and even though it's a new class and it's mostly a DPM class, I think genuinely that class is really strong. On top of that, we had so many gains on our Marksman, which made this bossing mule just in such a good position. I still cannot get over this Chaos Hat plus Fafnir weapon. What an amazing combo, and I just love using off-meta items, and being able to use a lucky hat really makes me happy. I appreciate all you guys for the support you guys have given me so far, and if you are enjoying these videos, please consider subscribing and liking the videos because it helps me out a lot. Take care guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.